Yo, what's good, bro?
Good, man.
Shit, chilling, man.
What's good, man? How
I'm
you?
good. I'm straight.
I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Yeah, most definitely. I had to show love, man. I appreciate what you got going on with the whole podcast thing. So I'm just trying to show love to everybody that's doing something. I got a podcast myself, so just
hmm
us tapping in together and locking in, it's major. Like, we're gonna win together. So I appreciate you having me on your platform.
No problem, of course. You feel me? Like, I feel like as if that we all, can come together and connect as one. Especially as
Right.
Black people, you see this Black Lives Matter movement coming on, and
Most definitely.
like a lot of Black people are starting to realize that, like, wow, we have a lot of talent, and like when you see us all uniting, success is starting to happen. So when you reached out to me and said, let's do this podcast, I was willing to do it with you. And I see that you been doing a lot of good things with your podcast. How long have you started that?
So I've been doing my podcast since like August, man.
hmm
When I first started, my first interview was with my man Kirk.
hmm
He a college player, college basketball player, and it was just a vision I had. Just inspiring people to come on there, talk about their story, and if they got a path or a journey they don't got a certain platform to talk about what they do. That's really what I'm for.
hmm
Just a voice for everybody, because you got to respect everybody hustle. Never try to be a hater or nothing like that. Just respect what everybody doing and just give them a voice if they don't got one. So that's the main reason I started it, for real, for real.
What I know you your podcast is called Locked In. What made you
Right.
come up with that name, and what kind of content do you have on your podcast?
Most definitely. So I came up with
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. I can hear you now. What were you saying? I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit.
no. Oh yeah, I was saying I came up with the name Locked In because me and my closest friends, we always like we locked in, like we
hmm
real close, we locked in like we boxed in. So that's really how I came up with the name. It was just being around them every day. I'm with them almost 24/7. We like brothers, so just that's how I came up with the name Locked In, really, and I just ran with it from there.
That's good. That's good. Future plans with your podcast and favorite, because I know we're both in the talk show host. I mean,
Right.
the talk show favorite talk show host as well.
You see my favorite talk show host?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I watched this other podcast called All the Smoke. It's with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. And
hmm
I played basketball in high school and college. So, that really inspired me to create my own podcast, just watching what they doing. So I would say that's really my favorite podcast, my two favorite podcast hosts right now, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. Because, they raw, they cutthroat. Then, you go on their podcast and basically talk about whatever. You don't got to say no lies. It's all facts. So that's really my two inspirations for starting a podcast, really. And then another inspiration would just be my parents, just my mom, my father, just always being there for me, making sure I got food on my plate,
hmm
always being there when I had basketball games and things like that. I get discipline from my mother and I get my grind from my father. So,
hmm
it mixes well together. So those really my two inspirations to starting the whole podcast thing, my parents and, watching Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson podcast as well.
I know you played for Resi, and then you went on to play for Howard Community College. What position did you play?
So I played point guard for both Resi and Howard Community College. And I played
Favorite?
that. Say that
I'm
again. Go
sorry.
ahead. Now you go. Go ahead.
Favorite point guard in the game, and what is your basketball style resemble? Like who does your basketball style kind of resemble in a point guard wise? Because there's two kinds of point guards. There's the combo point
Right.
guard, and then there's the who's crafty. And then there's the regular point guard who sets up plays for his teammates to get buckets as well. What kind of style do you have?
I would definitely say Chris Paul. Like that's
hmm
always been my type of game. The mid-range game. Looking for others, getting them assists, and that's what people really compared me to when I was in high school and in college. So Chris Paul is definitely one of my favorite point guards in the game. You know what I mean? And
hmm
just having role models like Allen Iverson, just seeing how he gave it up every night on the floor. Being that size, because I'm a small guard, so just going out there and giving everything I have. And yeah, those are my two like players I would say I resemble my game after. Chris Paul and Allen Iverson.
That's cool. That's cool. And for people who really don't know too much about like Resi and like Howard Community College in that area of Howard County, because a lot of people say that who heard of Howard County, they kind of compare us to like a bougie lifestyle. They say, "Oh, we're so rich out here." You feel me? Oh, we're this, that, and the third. How would you say growing up out here as a child? How would you say it was like?
Man, it was a good living. I'm originally was born in Newark, New Jersey. Stayed in Hillside, New Jersey, and Livingston. But You know, I'm from that area, and you know, up there it's pretty rough. So, you know, not that many opportunities, and you know, people or vultures really like, you know, it ain't nobody want to see you win. It's just like any other ghetto though. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
moving down here when I was about 7 years old,
Mm-hmm.
just better opportunity. And Howard County's always been like a nice place to live. It ain't, you know, people make it seem like it's the hood or whatever, but it's not. You know what I mean? You're just out here doing what you got to do. You know, it's a good place to live, and yeah, for real, it's like it's nice down here, really. You know, you people go through their struggles every day, but who, you know, you just got to get through them. People gonna struggle, and no matter what area you in, so it's been real cool for me just being down here and just a better opportunity because I know most likely if I was in Newark, I would be caught up in the wrong things or you know just distractions and certain things like that. So it's just a blessing, really.
Do you go back out there sometimes?
Yeah, like all the time to see my family because you know my family's still up there. So
Mm-hmm.
just going up there and you know seeing the living environments and you know people not really living well, it definitely inspires me to make a change, really, because you know I want to be able to do something for my city or you know where I'm from, like
Mm-hmm.
possibly do things like start a rec center and just give the kids the opportunities I had growing up. You know what I mean? Food on the table, you know, mom and dad in their life. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really my whole vision and my goal, really.
How far was were you living in New Jersey from New York? 'Cause I know that's like right across the bridge.
Yeah,
Or
like
in
I
New
could,
Jersey.
like I just went up to New Jersey not too long ago. You just gotta catch the train. It's
Mm-hmm.
about a 15-minute train ride. You right in New York, just cross the bridge. It's really not that far at all. I mean, I'm pretty sure when you drive, it's a little bit farther. I've
Mm-hmm.
never driven. I've always catch the train, even since I was a youngin'. So, it's not that far at all. It's like we like brothers. It's right next to each other, really, just across the water.
How were the train rides? Because I know when like I know because you know I was going there because you know
Yeah,
I mean I've been out to New York a couple times. It's a cool environment. I've been to New Jersey a couple times. I rode the trains, the L train, and everything out there. And I know my experiences. You see all kinds of wild stuff or like enjoy
yeah, man.
trains.
I it's I mean, it's like any other way, man. Like you're gonna see wild stuff. It's just like catching a train ride. You always want to be aware of your surroundings in those type of areas. But you know,
Hmm.
just it's just like any other way. To be honest, ain't
Hmm.
nothing different.
And I know that you went to Howard Community College and now you're now at Bowie State, correct?
Yeah, I'm at Bowie State right now.
What's your major at Bowie State?
So I'm a communications major, and you know it go hand in hand to what I'm
Right,
doing. You know what I mean? Because be talking really, that's
right,
really what
right.
it is. So me being a communications major, me going to Bowie, just networking. You know, COVID kind of stopped a lot of things because
Right.
you know I can't really network as much as I want to, but just going to Bowie and being a part of that culture, you know, being an HBCU,
Hmm.
people that look like me, and just uplifting everybody because you know it's a lot of hate in the world that we live in.
Hmm.
But Bowie is like a really good community. Like they're gonna make sure you got financial aid if you need it. You on top of your classes, so there's really no reason for you to fail. But me being a communications major, that's another reason I started a podcast because I was just like, man, if I can take classes like this, I could just talk and give people that exposure and things that they need. So, yeah, that's how it is being a communications major. But Bowie is a great institution. So, you know, everybody that's watching, if you think
Hmm.
about if you're young and you want to go to college, I suggest going to Bowie for sure.
Hmm. I was ready to say it was kind of ironic how you say you was a communication major and it kind of
Right.
goes hand in hand with what you're doing now, that podcast. And I know Bowie State's an HBCU, and then you got PWIs out here. What what made you go to an HBCU versus a PWI or vice versa? And
Right.
is the HBCU as bad as what people kind of portray it to be? Because I know people kind of look down on HBCU sometimes, and I think that's a bad thing. All schools give education. You know what I'm saying? So tell me
Right.
how your experience at the HBCU versus a PWI.
Well, first of all, I wasn't even gonna go to Bowie State.
Mm-hmm.
When I played my year of basketball at Howard Community College, I
Mm-hmm.
was gonna get a scholarship because of my grades. You know, I really had really good grades coming out of there. I was gonna go to Catholic University in DC. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, I went to a couple of workouts. They like what they seen. And they was like, you know, we can't really give you any money, so you could try to come on as a walk on. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, I was all for it because you know I've been grinding for basketball my entire life. Like, you know, it's always been ups and downs, but and I really didn't reach my full potential until I got to college. Really, you know, in high school I was always a solid player, but I didn't reach my full potential till I really put in the work over that summer and to going into the next season for ACC.
Mm-hmm.
But back to what I was saying, you know, I was gonna go to Catholic, but they weren't offering me enough money, so I just had a real conversation with myself and was just like, I might as well just go to Bowie for the culture. And as far as it being the HBCU and people, sometimes looking down on HBCUs, ain't nothing wrong with the HBCU at all. The culture is fun. I would just say the main thing is just staying focused because there's always going to be distractions and other things like that. But you just got to do what you got to do, really. You can still have fun and still handle your business at the same time. You just got to have discipline. And that's really what I had to, look at myself in the mirror and say, like, I can either go to Bowie and fall off and, start getting the other things that I'm not supposed to be doing, or I can find my vision in life and just have tunnel vision with it. So
Mhm.
that's really what I've been doing this whole time, really.
Other than basketball and your podcast, I've seen that you've been working with doing a lot of community service, been getting
Right.
involved in fashion and all kinds of. What can we see? What else can we see you doing other than just your podcast and
So, right. So, I just had a Thanksgiving giveaway,
mm-hmm.
on Thanksgiving, and I partnered with two other clothing brands, Off the Hustle and Foreign Made Apparel. And
Mm-hmm.
me and Off the Hustle, we work a lot together. Like we do a lot of business together.
Mm-hmm.
I sponsor him, and I get paid for sponsoring him on my podcast, and I just use that as a stepping stone. But we did that just to give back to the community, really. Just Laurel, like just showing love to where I'm from,
Right, right,
because it's a lot of love here that just got to be like you just got to find.
right.
It's a lot of talent here as well. Like I got friends they hoopers, they mad nice at basketball. I got friends who produce. I got friends who rap. You know what I mean? Shout out, actually one of them in here right now. Shout out Gary. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure y'all go tap in 10TD. But man, it's just a lot in Laurel, and always just showing love back to my community, man. Because hopefully, I got a vision to be successful, and I know when I become successful, I'm gonna get back to my
Mm-hmm.
friends, my people, my community. So that's really why I did the Thanksgiving giveaway, and I was also in the music video. For this artist named KL out of Capitol Heights. She's a
Mm-hmm.
singer. She's real talented. Me and her connected off of my podcast as well. And she was just like, you can come on and be in the video. So y'all make sure y'all go tap into KL as well. I'll definitely, give the ads and we'll talk about that. But yeah, man, just being from Laurel, growing up here has always been smooth for me. You go through struggles, but
Mm-hmm.
who don't go through it, like I mentioned. But that's really what I've been doing as far as community service work. And honestly, I just got a whole lot more in store as far as community service work. It just take time because of COVID. It's just gonna be a little bit held back, but I got a lot more in store for the people that's really gonna do some numbers and make some change for real.
What made you keep a good heart? Because we're both good-hearted people
Right.
trying to get back to our communities and everything. But on your path to success, there's downfalls to that. It comes with success. People start maybe looking at you a different way, or start hating. You feel me? Like, or like they might say like he's Hollywood because he's
Right.
moving in a different lane. It's not always where Hollywood's always like, no, I still fuck with you, but I'm just at a different part of my life. So what made you stay good-hearted, still trying to get back to your community and letting your followers know that you're still there for your community?
Really just a support system I have around me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
people always support me, whatever what I'm doing. My parents, of course, and just being a role model really for my little brother. That's what keeps me going. Like, that's what really keeps me going. Being a role model for him and just having the support from my friends. Like, I really got two main friends who support me whatever what I'm doing, right
Mm-hmm.
or wrong. We probably done been through everything together. So just having a support system and my family, especially my family in Jersey. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
not living in the best living situations right now, and just wanting to get them out and have them have a good life as well. But just support. I've always been a good-hearted person.
Right, right,
Um, we go through struggles, like I said, but that don't mean you got to be evil or have
right,
hate on your heart for another man or another female. You gotta support each other. Because there's a lot of money out here to be made for real, and you ain't gonna get it by yourself. So
right.
don't ever think you're gonna get it by yourself. People that's watching, like you always gonna have to have some support with you. So that's really what's been keeping me going and keeping me good-hearted. My support.
Elaborate on the support system, because a lot of people can think they can just do things themselves sometimes and realize
Right.
it's not working out, and realize that everybody needs somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one can really do everything by themselves. It takes a team to like really try to get to your end goal. So tell me more about your team. Do you have a team that you work with? Anyone that you want to talk about that you're working with currently for your podcast or anything?
So currently,
Mhm.
as of right now, the big thing was trying to get a sponsorship for my podcast.
Yeah.
That was really the big thing because sponsorship is going to cost from a bigger audience. So shout out to Dwayne Williams and Off the Hustle for allowing me to, sponsor him and, come to an agreement and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But just as far as shouting out people, I want to shout out, my two brothers, Judge and Nadir. We really like family. And I want to shout out my family as well, my mom, my dad, my little brother, and just
Mm-hmm.
my family in Jersey. Because, just when I went up there last time, they were just telling me, like, you're making a change. You're not into the same stuff that, we into while we up here. You really doing your thing. And that stuff like that just give me motivation because
Mm-hmm.
I know that I could have been like that or even worse. You know what I mean? Like, I know what comes with that, but I just appreciate my support system. Like I said, my family, my friends,
Mm-hmm.
really my mother. Like, me and my mother are very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
We struggled together, and she's always made sure I was okay, no matter what, even through the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really who I want to give a shout out to for sure.
Is your podcast a nonprofit?
So it is currently not a nonprofit right now, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get to that point to where I get, like, I already paid for my name locked in, so nobody can steal that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. But I'm really just working towards, like, trying to get my own studio. That's really my main goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have a show coming up on the 17th of February where I'll be on the Shelly Roy show.
Okay.
So, like we talked about support, you know what I
Right.
mean? She seen my podcast and she really liked it. We connected and she wants me to come on her show just to inspire the youth and certain things like that. But, me and her just being able to connect, it was real cool. But as far as having a nonprofit, I'm definitely getting to that for sure. Like I said, man, I just got a whole lot of stuff in store that I got a vision of so many things I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a stepping stone. Like, you gotta take small steps to get where you want to go.
Of course, of course. Do Are you going to? Can we see a potential radio station, or are you going to stay like the podcast way?
See, that it's funny you asked that because I
Mm-hmm.
recently just had two interviews to where I was trying to get internships. One of them is in Oregon, so that's
Mm-hmm.
real far. And the other one's in North Carolina, and they broadcasting radio internships. So, like I said, reaching out to people, networking,
Right.
just talking to them. Both of them are my mentors, so we talk on a daily basis. They give me updates on internships and things like that.
Right.
But just that's the main thing I want to get into, radio, kind of radio, but
Right.
also have my podcast on the side so that when I get everything I know and learn all the tools I need to be on my own, I can get to that point. And I look at it like I'm only 21 years old, so me starting early and young is a blessing because most people don't really think about these type of things until they get older. You know what I mean? And the same thing that goes for you.
Right.
You having a vision and starting a podcast is a
Mm-hmm.
blessing. So that's really my main focus right now, getting that studio and just putting everybody on because I want to have a studio to where, like, I got my podcast, of course. I
Mm-hmm.
got basketball downstairs, and I got a music and recording studio for
Yeah. Yeah.
people that because I got a lot of friends who rap. And,
Right.
their music is tough. So
Mm-hmm.
just have them go in there and do what they got to do. But that's just my vision right now, man. That's basically what I'm trying to do with this podcast.
What made you go to entrepreneur site and the entrepreneur route and the visionary, right? Because America is a system where, like, it's kind of like one-sided. It's a flat line based system. Like, they tell you, oh, go to school, go get that 9 to 5 job. This is how much you make. This
Right.
is what you can do. It's very systematic. And, like, me and you, like, with people like me and you, we look around that and look at the other angle. Like, no, why are we having someone else tell us what to do when we realize we can just do it ourselves and then be our own boss and, like, regulate how much we earn and everything like
Right.
that. So what made you go the opposite route versus the ordinary? Oh, let me just go to. I mean, I know you're still going to school, and school is great.
Mm-hmm.
Education is good. Like, we both going to school, but, like, also while you're going to school, create this podcast and become an entrepreneur as well.
Man, like you said, just being your
Mm-hmm.
own boss. That's the whole reason I became an entrepreneur. I just want to be my own boss. I want to be able to leave a legacy to where he grinded and got what he deserved and what he wanted, so that when I grow
Mm-hmm.
up and have kids, they can look at something and be proud of me for, and I can leave a legacy for them. Like I said with the building, pass that
Mm-hmm.
down to them when they get older. But like I want to say, it ain't nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5 at all. I still work a 9 to 5. You know what I
Right.
mean? But that's just money to help me get where I need to go. Because I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to work a nine to five forever. You know what I
Right.
mean? So just having a 9 to 5 is a way to make a good income and do podcasts and things like that. So
Right.
just being an entrepreneur, that's really the best way to go, man. And as far as me going to school, I always promised my mother I would finish school, and
Mm-hmm.
I do want to finish school. Like, once I graduate, I'm about to graduate in the summer coming up, and once I do that, I'm gonna look to get my master's. just because it looks good on my resume, like, you know what I mean? And me being an African American male, you know, they
Mm-hmm.
already look at us as, you know, people who not really gonna achieve nothing in life. You
Right.
know, you either gonna be dead or in jail. And
Right.
it's like it's a messed up way to think about things, but that's just the reality that we live in today.
Right.
So just creating that change and, you know, shifting that change for people to look at us differently, you know, just be an inspiration. But
Mm.
that's the whole reason I became an entrepreneur, just to inspire people. And, you know, I got a vision for myself, and, you know, and I'm around entrepreneurs myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, my two main friends, they working on looking on starting businesses. They
Mm-hmm.
they rapping, they trying to do their own thing. And
Mm-hmm.
we all support each other. We just gotta do nothing but respect it. So that's really the reason I became an entrepreneur. That's my whole route, really.
Before I get into the next question, I want to say congratulations on almost graduating for your
Appreciate it. Thank you.
degree. No problem. And I want to tap into that Oregon internship and the North Carolina internship you said prior. I
Right.
know I've been doing some research on you when you reached out to me to do this interview, and I saw that you had did an interview with the Oregon director of sports, and then
Hmm.
the North Carolina women's basketball coach.
Right.
How'd you get in with that?
Sorry about that. So yeah, like I said, both of those guys are my mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So we reached out because I had applied for a scholarship, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like, if you win, you get $1,000. But, you know, it wasn't really my field once I read a little bit into it, and they partnered me with those mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So getting a chance to talk to them, they was very impressed with what I was doing, and they was like, "We gonna help you in any type of way." And I was just like, "Y'all should let me interview you, because what y'all doing is what I want to do one day." So
Right.
like I go back to, once again, having a networking system and just having support for others, because you never know, by you supporting somebody else, what's that's gonna come back for you. So that's
Right.
really how I connected with them. And like me and them, like I said, we talk on a daily basis, almost every day. They just check up on me, make sure I'm doing what I gotta do. But that's
Mm-hmm.
really how I connected with those two, for sure.
That's good. That's good. Favorite hat brand. Now we're going to the freestyle section. So I see you got
Man, see,
rocking the
this is
fitted
like
hat.
honestly, Maryland was not doing this. And I wasn't even wearing fitted hats, you know, when I came to Maryland, but I used to
Right.
wear all the time when I was a kid. And I almost all my friends wear hats. But it's just a new style, man. You just gotta roll with it. I wear a fitted hat like whenever I get fresh and go out, or, you know, when it wasn't COVID, I would throw on a
Mm-hmm.
fitted hat. But that's really my style. Like, you know, this is really like a really an up top thing. You know,
Yeah.
Jersey, New York, Philly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, shout out to them. But it's coming down to the South, so that's really why I wear fitted hats.
I was about to say, yeah, that the fitted hat is really a New York, New Jersey, more
Mm-hmm.
north type
Because
thing.
when I was growing up, like my father, he always wore a fitted hat. He used to
Mhm.
have me wear fitted hats. So that's really why I wear fitted hats, honestly.
And you brought it down to the south. So you basically saying you started the trendsetter.
Nah, I ain't started the trend with fitted hats in Maryland, you know. I just, it's what I've been doing since I was younger. So
Hmm.
people, like, you know what I mean? People always gonna have certain trends that they start. And
Hmm.
if that's really what you like to do and what you do it, just do it. Just never be, I would just say, never be a follower. Like, I definitely start my own trends.
Hmm.
Starting my own trend and just staying focused. Like, you know, I had somebody reach out to me the other day that watches my podcast, and he was just telling me how much I inspire him. And I don't even know this person like that.
Hmm.
Um, they were just like, "Man, you really inspired me to, you know, go out there and grind for what I got." And it just made me look at myself and be like, "Man, like, I'm really making a change out here, and I don't even know it. I'm
Hmm.
thinking I'm just doing podcasts, helping people, but I'm inspiring and motivating other people in this world." So it's definitely been a whole blessing.
That's good. And I saw that I saw you in the Baltimore Sun. You had a news
Hmm.
article, and they said Jabril locked in podcast, lifting other voices. And
Right.
now that we're doing this interview, I see that you're trying to bring up other people, and I'm proud of you on doing what you're doing out here
Hmm.
and causing some damage out in the scenes, man.
Yeah, most definitely. That whole interview, it's see, like, I go back to networking, man. Just
Hmm.
networking with the right people. I got a chance to interview Alana Haynes, who was also an editorial assistant and a journalist for the Baltimore Sun. And when I interviewed her and connected with her, I
Hmm.
was like, you know, I would love to have a story written up on my podcast just to give me more exposure. And she was basically like, I don't do, you know, journalism for the Laurel, Maryland area, but
Hmm.
I can connect you with the person that does,
Hmm.
with this Catherine Jones. So when I got a chance to connect with Catherine Jones, she basically was like, of course I would love your story. And she interviewed me. She was very impressed with what I had to say. And that's really how the whole article in the Baltimore Sun came up, man. And like I said, I'm all about showing love. In the article, I tried to shout out as many people as I could.
Mm-hmm.
One of my first interviews was with a girl named Corinne. She got a eyelash business, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And then I got a chance to connect with Dwayne over some time because me and him work together.
Mm-hmm.
So he will always come to work with his shirts and things like that. And we will always talk about the vision that we have for with our brands. And I was like, man, I'm gonna start a podcast and just put everybody on, get them
Mm-hmm.
a voice, a platform, exposure. He was like, man, have me on there. And now look at us now. We basically business partners. So everything works out for a reason in that case.
Before we wrap up this interview, talk about the importance of networking and building your connections, because in the DMV, I know like it's kind of like a crap house a little bit. Like people want to pull
Mm-hmm.
each other down, or like not really, or kind of like want to stay to themselves. But to become somebody, you got to build connections. You can't. It's stepping, like you said earlier, stepping stones. You can't get
Right.
to from point A to Z without going through B first. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
C, D, E, F, and G, etc. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
talk about, I know you being a communications major, talk about the importance of networking.
Man, the importance of networking. It
Mm-hmm.
it could take you a very, very long way for everybody that's watching. When I first started this podcast, man, I didn't know where it was gonna go,
Mm-hmm.
how much success it would bring me and achievements.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at it as like, the success right now is cool, but I'm always hungry for more and more. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm hungry for more and more because I'm networking and seeing people doing what they doing and
Mm-hmm.
handling their business, and it just motivate me and inspire me. So networking is motivating me and inspiring me. It's causing me to have success and different achievements, and
Mm-hmm.
really just I'm gonna just keep networking until I can't no more. Because it's like I said, man, it's a lot of stuff that I really really want to do. And I got a lot of talented friends, and I'm just trying to help everybody, put them on if I got to, and just show them a different way. Because it's like you mentioned earlier, it's a lot of hate in this world. Especially with the
Right.
African American community, people don't want to see each other win, man. It's
Not at
always like,
all.
if you're doing better than me, I'ma just hate on you. And me growing up, I was never raised like that
Right.
because that's just not the way to be, man. So that's really my answer for that for sure.
Before we wrap up this interview, anything else you want to tell your fans or what's to come for? Oh, but also,
Yeah,
where
most
can they find
definitely.
you as well? Because I know you have your own podcast. Where can
Hmm.
they find your podcast on YouTube?
So type in Locked in the Podcast. I got about 60 subscribers right now. Definitely trying to build the audience. More views is because people always watch it but don't subscribe. But definitely subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
But on Instagram at Locked in the Podcast, you can follow my main IG page at Showtime Brill. The eyes are ones and then the underscore. And yeah, to all my fans and audience, man, I got a whole lot more in store. This ain't the beginning. Y'all definitely would be seeing a whole lot more from me, as I will definitely be changing lives, man, and just doing all I gotta do to be successful and take care of my family and have them eat as well. So
Mm-hmm.
that's family and friends for sure. But yeah,
Man,
that's to my fans and audience. Make sure y'all look out for me for sure.
man, Jabril, nice having you on the show, man.
It's Zabril, Zabril.
Oh, my bad on the
Yeah.
pronunciation.
Zabril.
Jabril.
Zabril with a Z.
Zabril. There
Yeah,
we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Zabril, it was nice having you on the show, man.
Nah, I appreciate you for having me on, man. And y'all make sure y'all go tune into his podcast as well. Keep doing your thing, bro.
For sure, and vice versa.
Most definitely. You take care, bro.
You too.
All right.
All right.